She was the golden girl of Hollywood, an Oscar winner, fashion icon, and the face of classic elegance. But Grace Kelly didn't just play royalty on screen, she became it. Her real-life transformation from starlet to Princess of Monaco captivated the world. But behind the fairy tale was a woman torn between two worlds: fame and duty, freedom and tradition, passion and control. In this episode, we're uncovering the truth behind Grace Kelly's extraordinary life, the roles she left behind, the secrets she kept, and the real cost of choosing a crown over a career. This is more than a royal love story. It's the story Hollywood never fully told. Grace Kelly didn't climb to fame, she skyrocketed. Born into a wealthy Philadelphia family, she had elegance in her blood. But it was her talent and cool, effortless screen presence that launched her into stardom. In just 6 years, she starred in 11 films, won an Academy Award, and worked with legends like Alfred Hitchcock, Cary Grant, and Clark Gable. Her roles blended strength and vulnerability. Smart women with secrets, icy exteriors hiding fire. She wasn't just beautiful, she had presence, control, timing. And by 1956, she wasn't just a star. She was the woman every studio wanted. And then, at the peak of it all, she walked away. Alfred Hitchcock didn't just admire Grace Kelly, he built her into a symbol. To him, she was the ultimate cool blonde, the woman who hinted at fire beneath the ice. She starred in 3 of his films: Dial M for Murder, Rear Window, and To Catch a Thief, and became his muse. But Hitchcock's fascination wasn't entirely professional. He was controlling, possessive, and often crossed personal boundaries. Still, Grace managed to hold her ground. She played the game without losing herself, but their complicated dynamic shaped her career and made her eventual departure from Hollywood all the more shocking. Even Hitchcock couldn't stop her from rewriting her story. When Grace married Prince Rainier III of Monaco, she gave up her career permanently. But what most people don't know is the kind of roles she left behind. She turned down the lead in Marnie, a role written specifically for her by Hitchcock. She also passed on several high-profile scripts, from major dramas to romantic thrillers. Offers kept coming for years, but she always said no. Whether out of duty, pressure, or palace protocol, she closed the door on Hollywood for good. Some say she missed it deeply. Others say she never looked back. But one thing's clear: the screen lost one of its brightest stars far too soon. When news broke that Grace Kelly was leaving Hollywood to marry Prince Rainier, the industry was stunned. The public called it a real-life fairy tale, but many insiders saw it as a betrayal. Executives were furious. Directors were heartbroken. Hitchcock, in particular, took it personally. Some actresses privately accused her of abandoning her craft for status. Others envied the escape. But Grace didn't respond to the noise. She did what very few actresses dared to do at the time. She left on her own terms. And while Hollywood smiled for the cameras, it never really forgave her for walking away. Grace Kelly's marriage to Prince Rainier wasn't just romantic, it was political. Monaco needed legitimacy and media attention. Grace brought both. Rainier, in turn, offered her a life of prestige, but also structure and limitations. She had to convert to Catholicism, learn court protocol, and give up her American citizenship. The couple reportedly shared love, but also distance. Grace once confided that life at the palace could be lonely and isolating. She missed acting, spontaneity, and artistic freedom. The princess title was real, so were the sacrifices. This wasn't just a crown. It was a contract, with consequences that shaped the rest of her life. Becoming a princess came with glamour, but also intense scrutiny. Grace had to adjust to rigid traditions, diplomatic responsibilities, and constant media attention. Every word, every outfit, every gesture was watched. In private letters, she admitted to feeling like a stranger in her own home. She missed the creative life, the freedom of Hollywood sets, the laughter, the pace. In Monaco, things were quieter, colder. Even raising her children, Caroline, Albert, and Stephanie, was subject to public expectation. Grace adapted with poise. But the fairy tale castle was also a gilded cage. One she chose, yes, but one that still came with invisible bars. For all the elegance, Grace and Rainier's marriage wasn't without strain. Rumors of affairs on both sides circulated throughout the years. Some say Rainier struggled with Grace's fame. Others claim Grace maintained emotional ties to old flames. Whatever the truth, the palace kept everything under wraps. Appearances were everything. Grace was expected to smile, wave, and protect the image of a perfect royal family. But insiders say behind closed doors, tensions ran deep. She wasn't just managing her own unhappiness, she was preserving a monarchy. The pressure was relentless, and as the years went on, it took a quiet toll on her spirit. Grace gave up acting, but she never stopped being an artist. She turned to poetry, photography, floral design, and theater outreach. She supported young performers, hosted ballet companies, and helped fund arts programs across Europe. In private, she kept journals, wrote letters, and designed her own floral arrangements for palace events. She even filmed family home videos, showing a keen eye for framing and storytelling. Her creativity never faded. It just found new outlets. In some ways, this quiet artistic life was her rebellion, a way of staying Grace Kelly, even while the world only saw Princess Grace. Grace was loved by the media, but also consumed by it. Paparazzi followed her everywhere. Rumors, especially in European tabloids, hounded her for decades. She rarely responded, but behind the scenes, she was frustrated. She once said, "I am not a myth. I am a human being." Still, the image of Princess Grace was so powerful that few saw the person beneath it. The press didn't want complexity. They wanted a symbol. Grace played the part, but it wore her down. Her silence wasn't compliance, it was survival. In the end, she became an icon, but lost some of her voice along the way. On September 13, 1982, Grace Kelly suffered a stroke while driving and veered off a steep cliff near Monaco. Her daughter, Princess Stephanie, was in the car and survived. Grace died the next day. She was only 52. The tragedy stunned the world, but also sparked questions. Why was she driving alone on a dangerous mountain road? Why did palace officials delay releasing details? Some reports suggested mechanical failure. Others hinted at deeper tensions. No foul play was ever confirmed, but the mystery only deepened her myth. Grace Kelly didn't just die young. She died in a way that kept people wondering. Grace Kelly's legacy is more than her films or her crown. She redefined what it meant to be a woman in control of her image. She showed that beauty and strength weren't opposites. She proved that elegance could be armor, but also a message. Her foundation, the Princess Grace Foundation USA, continues to support emerging artists, just as she quietly did for years. Her children have kept her memory alive, and her films still glow with intelligence, wit, and restraint. Grace didn't just live a life of glamour, she lived a life of purpose. Even in silence, she shaped the world around her. In Hollywood, Grace Kelly was a star. In Monaco, she was a princess. But in truth, she existed somewhere between the two, never fully belonging to either world. She sacrificed a career for duty. She traded scripts for silence. And she did it with dignity, grace, and a quiet strength that outshined the crown itself. Her life was not the fairy tale the magazines sold. It was far more complicated and far more real. Today we remember her not just for her titles, but for her choices, for walking away at the height of fame, for chasing something deeper, and for doing it all on her terms. Grace Kelly didn't just become a princess, she became a legend. But the real story behind her life is one of courage, restraint, and sacrifice. If this gave you a new perspective on the woman behind the crown, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to Silver Screen Secrets. We bring you the truths behind the icons, the heartbreaks, the triumphs, and the moments Hollywood left out. Because some stars shine brightest when they walk away from the spotlight.